Hi, Aishwary. This
Hi.
is Calvin. So, thank you so much for taking your time and coming over here and guiding the fellows, which is really important right now in this space. So, I'll quickly take you. I wanted to ask you about your journey. I'm personally curious. How did you come into Web3 space? What has been your journey? Because I feel it's quite interesting. If you can please share.
So very quickly, I did not enter the Web3 space by buying bitcoins or cryptocurrencies. I had a very corporate entry into this world. So while working with American Express, we were building or we were developing some of the solutions on blockchain using XRP because American Express was one of the investors in XRP. So that was my entry point. So working in treasury, cross-border payments, I saw how blockchains can actually change the way and make everything more efficient.
Yeah.
So that was my entry point. Then I started learning on my own and everything like that.
Yeah.
Then I worked on another project within Amex, and then post-COVID, I went in full Web3 because now I realize that how much big is the potential. So that was my entry point, and not buying cryptocurrencies.
Awesome. So, you mentioned your journey from being in a company, from a Web2 company, or from a finance company to coming into the Web3 space. How has been that transition been? And if anyone is trying to make that transition, what advice would you give?
See, it's pretty simple and hard as well. Some of the difficulties that I've always been hearing is so I enrolled for a course like in IM, which because a lot of people think that, doing a course from IMs and all in these things would help greatly.
Yeah.
But I got an impeccable network. And there is where my urge came in. So there were topics on blockchain, but they were very basics.
Yeah.
And everyone in my batch was very curious to learn. And they were like, what is Web3? How do we do it? What are those things? And these were like CEOs, SVPs, and all those people. So I just wanted to have a face in that mob of 150 people.
Yeah.
So that was my urge. So that I started studying on my own self.
Got it.
And one of the best things that a lot of people, I don't know about or not, I started teaching people. So I've been teaching for 2 years, and when you teach, it's not always that the students get everything.
Yeah.
The teachers also do. So what used to happen was I used to get a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And at that point of time, I would realize, this is something that I knew, but that is another angle that I don't.
Yeah.
And that actually made me go deep inside it.
Right.
And after teaching, and after seeing this potential in a Web2 company, I literally just applied out of the blue into exchanges, crypto exchanges, because that was it at that point of time.
Yeah.
And I got selected in both.
Yeah.
So one was in the treasury, and that was my core, being a chartered accountant, and the other was in the marketing. So I was a bit skeptical, so I took the treasury one.
Yeah.
Started with it, explore DeFi, started deploying millions of funds of the platform,
Yeah.
and earning returns and all those things. So that is where I went from just learning about it, thinking about it, to actual implementations. Then I had been an intern to a lot of things. So one more thing to add on, just a very quick one, is when you are getting into a new space, you don't expect returns.
Correct.
You expect to learn. So a lot of people do this mistake that, hey, I'm a 10-year-old experienced guy, why should I do the work for free? That makes a lot of difference.
Awesome. You mentioned a lot of things prominently about learning and thinking of from different perspective. And I believe there is nothing much better than developers coming into a hackathon where Polygon is, helping developers come on board, share their ideas with other developers. How do you think hackathon as a platform is important in the life cycle of a developer's journey?
See, hackathons is something that we have always been very bullish about from
Yeah.
Polygon side. We have been, I don't know any hackathon which we were not a part of. And the major reason why hackathons are important is because hackathons brings us ideas and things that probably we might not be thinking about it, because we are in an ecosystem and there are people who are outside the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And the people who are outside the ecosystem might be seeing a lot of other things that we might not.
Yeah.
So that is a cool place. Hackathons brings us a lot of ideas, and then it's our duty to go out and see that if that is coming out, how we can actually go out and help these people to actually mature their product, help them. And that is why coming here in the Hacker House, being throughout here, just to help people understand all these things.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is where hackathon plays a very important role.
Awesome. And where do you end now? Where do you end? I mean, you're the best person to ask this question. Well, I'll give the answer why. Because journey from American Express now in the Web3 space, you have seen the both side of the spectrum. You know the life cycle of how both things work, and especially you were in treasury as well. You're the best person to ask this question. Where do you think Web3? Where do you envision Web3 to go? let's not have as a prediction, but where do you yourself envision this to take?
So there's a quote, I don't know who said it, but the best way to predict the future is to build it.
Wow.
And the point that we talk about here is how Web3 has to go to the next billion people, right? Everyone talks about it. But when you look at it, you look at a lot of things, not just the technology. When you are talking about a user, he doesn't pay a damn about what technology actually people are using.
Exactly.
He ensures that he is getting efficiencies.
Correct.
And that is where when we talk about the next future of adoption and everything. So one thing that I have been seeing is fintechs. So if you see fintechs across the world, there are a lot of fintechs that are actually going out and having a huge customer base because they offered a huge amount of efficiency as compared to banks.
Exactly.
Now the best course of action for like DeFi, where I have been actually working on, is connecting these fintechs in the front end and bringing the whole DeFi thing at the back end. So imagine you still use the same applications which you use today, but what I have done is including it with DeFi and getting more efficiencies to that exact product that people are already using. That's how you percolate, and that's how you enter everyone's life without entering everyone's life.
A more of a hybrid form of.
Correct, a hybrid one. So that is, I think, the future that I personally see, how you go ahead and enable the current user base. So we have a lot of fintechs that I'm talking to having millions and millions of user bases, and they're very excited about bringing a lot of things. Some fintechs actually want to go out and say that their country was not able to bring in a national ID. There's this country, I'm not naming it, but 4 times they failed, and they're like, this company is coming up and saying we want to create a national ID. So through that, so that is where I see the adoption going on. So you keep on using the same front end, but at the back end you just go out and deploy everything DeFi.
Wow, awesome. That's a really interesting one. But, to make this vision possible, we have the fellows over here who are making it possible one day at a time.
Absolutely.
Okay? Yeah. So any message you would like to give the fellows and the broader fellows out there who are working right now?
So one thing that I would always say to anyone building out, you have to go out and understand that if you want to go for a mass adoption, you cannot go out and start your product with a fight with a competitor which has 1 billion users. Okay, when you go out or when you actually start a product, you see what the problem is, and the upcoming solution should not be straight out that I will build a competitor out of it and I will, hey, he was not doing this thing, so I need this competitor. What you need to understand is whenever you are building out something, you need to first study your customers. What exactly do they find annoying? What and how exactly, whether in that same place you can go out and put out a plugin. I mean, fintechs exactly did the same thing. If you look at them, they saw where the people were having problems in banks. Whenever, let's say, you were taking a loan, it took like 7 days, 10 days paperwork. And they just created an API and said, oh, you just sit at home, scan all those things and get it done. So they did not go out and change or said that I will throw out the banking system. But what they did was they made the existing system efficient. So when you're looking from a DeFi standpoint, you have to look at this, that how you can make the existing system efficient. Is there a way that you can just go out and plug in into the existing system? If there is a way, just get into that. Just try to do that. And there's no one out there who is running a company and he will say, hey, you are creating more efficiency and I'm not willing to integrate with you. Because everyone wants that integration. Everyone wants those people to go out and have more efficiencies. Companies wants to make more money. They will make more money when they have more customers, lesser costs, which actually blockchain can offer.
Correct. So speaking about blockchain, we will end here, and more to come, more to hear and learn from you. So
absolutely.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Aishwary.
you.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.